You are scavving wrong in Escape from Tarkov. Okay, maybe that was a bit too harsh. Maybe some of you are doing it the right way. But I know that there are probably a lot of players out there who aren't taking full advantage of their scav raids, and that is just wrong. So strap in and let's talk about how to make the most of your scav raids. In order to take full advantage of your scav, you need to understand what a scav raid is meant for. Scaving is, well, exactly what it sounds like. You scavenge whatever is left in a raid in Escape from Tarkov. That means going through and picking scraps that have either been left behind or didn't get looted. That doesn't always mean to look for the high value loot spots, and this is where a lot of players make mistakes. So let's dive in and talk about what the common mistakes are that a lot of you guys are making while you're scavenging. But before we dive deeper into this video, I just want to say thank you all for subscribing and helping us reach our goal of 500 subscribers. That is a huge milestone for this channel, and I'm truly grateful for the community that we're starting. But I don't plan on stopping there. The next goal is 1,000 subscribers. So if you are watching and you have been enjoying my content, but you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button and help us reach our next goal of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all again, and don't forget to drop a like if you find this video helpful in any way. One mistake that I have found myself doing a lot recently is pushing towards gunshots and trying to kill PMCs. Yes, this can sound tempting and it can be exhilarating knowing that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
When a fighter ain't got nothing to lose, he's dangerous.
But the reality is, as a scav, you should be avoiding players at all costs. Just go in, fill your backpack, and get out. There is no reason to stick around in a raid just to fight potential PMCs or other scavs. As a scav, your whole goal should be to get in and survive and get loot to sell and make a profit. If you run your scav like you do your PMC, to get in, fill your backpack, and get out and repeat, then you'll be making a boatload of money compared to when you keep dying in your scav runs because you're trying to fight other players. Getting out with a full backpack or a rig or whatever you have is much more valuable than getting gear from players. It will sell for more and you won't need to risk dying in order to get it. If you do want to fight other players, then save that for your PMC. That way you'll be more geared and you'll have a better weapon to fight with, and you'll have a much better chance of surviving. Don't waste your scav raids chasing down gunshots and other players. Yes, I know that there are some exceptions to this. For example, if you have a fence task that you're trying to complete. But in reality, most players are doing their scav raids just to make some extra money, so it's not worth it to fight other players. This next mistake that a lot of players make kind of goes along with the risk of dying aspect of scavving. I'm sure that most of you know about the high value loot spots on the map. And that is where you see a lot of player scavs going, which means that if PMCs don't get the chance to loot it, which most of the times that they do, then that means the rest of the player scavs will get that rare loot most of the time. And the chances of you being the first one there are pretty slim. Plus, recently, I have been getting shot and killed by a lot of other player scavs without saying a word or even having a chance to talk. So don't always rely on scavs being friendly, because a lot of the times they aren't.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
So don't worry about going to these high value loot spots, because they're always going to be contested and there's always going to be players or other player scavs running around. So that leads us to the question, how can we become better at scavving, and how do we take full advantage of our scav runs? Well, the answer is simple really. Just loot fast and get out. Yes, this sounds extremely easy and a lot of people might think about it differently, but what I've been doing is just finding whatever map works best for you and get a good loot run going and just loot and scoot. For me, I typically run interchange. I pick up and loot everything. Even if it's not valuable, still pick it up just to fill your backpack and get out. Trust me, all this loot will add up over time. I highly recommend to not try and run to the high value loot locations, because wherever you spawn, there is most likely a ton of unlooted areas around you that people will often miss. You don't need to try and just sprint right to the gold spots for the slight chance of getting something good. Sure, if you do get something good, that's great. But most of the time, you won't get anything good, and you'll just be wasting your time running to those spots, all for nothing. Plus, if you do that, you would be passing up a ton of other opportunities to get loot that will add up, and it might even be more rubles in the end of your scav run than just getting that one single gold item like a GPU. Plus, one other thing that I've noticed in other player scavs is they will get one good item, and they will feel the need to leave as soon as possible. For example, getting something like a graphics card. When they're doing that, they're not going to stop and fill the rest of their backpack up, leaving a ton of money left on the table. That added stress of having a good item as a scav isn't worth it in my opinion. Now obviously, if you spawn near a gold spot, then yes, of course, go and check it out. But don't feel the need to load into a scav raid only to loot those good locations. There will always be other areas filled with other loot that can add up. Typically, if I spawn into a raid on interchange, I can fill my bag and get out with about 250,000 to 500,000 rubles worth of loot in just about 10 minutes. And that is on the low end. There have been times where I've made upwards to 750,000 to 1 million rubles in just one scav raid. But looting things like stashes, duffel bags, toolboxes, dead scavs, and picking up loose loot on the ground in the back of stores is often unlooted and uncontested, making it free, easy money as a scav. For example, one thing that I like to do in my scav raids on interchange is go underground in the parking garage and hit all the duffel bags down there. There are a ton of duffel bags down there, and most of the time they aren't looted, which means it's free, uncontested loot for me. Not only that, but duffel bags can give you some really good loot because there's a random loophole. That is just one example, but if you like to scav on other maps, you can do that too. All you have to do is find areas of a map that typically aren't looted, and then you'll be off to the races. Also, don't skip out on things like food items. They can go for a good bit of money as well. So if you're struggling to fill your bag, then go to the food spawns and grab some of that to top you off. Think outside the box of a normal player going to the same areas of the map, and you might just find yourself making more money on average. Another thing that I highly recommend is to be fast with your scavs. Don't waste time trying to loot everything when you already have a full backpack. As soon as you're full, just get out. Don't be greedy and waste time whenever you don't need to. The longer you stay in a scav raid, then the more dangerous it becomes. Recently, I have been scavving in around 10 minutes into a raid, which means that PMCs will likely be lurking around somewhere. So the longer you're in there, then the chances of you running into a PMC extracting or moving around the map increases. Not only that, but more player scavs will be spawning in, and like I said before, not all of them are friendly, so be cautious. That is why when I am scavving, I try to be as fast as possible to get in, get out, and make some fast money. That way I can get back into doing a regular PMC raid. I know that not everybody is going to run scav raids just to get money, but for the majority of players, that's typically why they are running scavs. They need that extra bit of money in order to get a kit ready for their PMC. But if you aren't scavving to make money, and maybe you're trying to just scav in and try to find quest items, or maybe you're trying to spawn with a rare item on your scav, then sure, you can run around and loot all the high value locations and get into fights all you want. But this is for the majority of players who are scavving in order to make a decent profit. I know that this type of strategy isn't for everyone, and not everybody likes to go into scavs just for fast money. But if you compare the risk to reward ratio of doing it that way, it's a much better strategy compared to others. However, if you do want to be a little more riskier, then of course you can go into Lighthouse, Streets, and Reserve to fight other PMCs, Rogues, and Raiders. But just know that you will be at a big disadvantage as a scav going against them. So if you are going to do that, then I would recommend to wait until you have a usable gun in order to fight. For example, sometimes you can spawn in with an M700 or an SV98, and it will have a good scope on it, which is ideal for fighting rogues from a distance. So if you do enjoy going in and doing that type of scavving, then wait until you get one of those guns. That way you can make it a lot easier on yourself. Since I don't typically scav to kill rogues or raiders, I can't speak for how effective or how difficult it is, so I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down in the comments below. What maps and strategies do you scav on? And do you find yourself making a lot of money doing it that way? Let me know down in the comments. But that is all I have for you in today's video, so thank you all for watching, and don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Also, don't forget to follow me on my other social media. The links for those are always down in the description below. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.